Tonight, after the sun disappears, you'll probably reach over and turn on a light without even thinking about it. The room will instantly brighten, and everything will feel normal. But for almost all of human history, that simple action was impossible. For more than 300,000 years, every one of your ancestors spent nearly half of their lives in darkness. Not the kind of darkness we know today, where city lights glow outside the window, real darkness. The kind where you could barely see your own hand. For most of that time, there were no light bulbs, no streetlights, and not even candles. There was only the moon, the stars, and whatever fire people could keep burning through the night. So, what did humans actually do after sunset? The answer reveals something surprising about sleep, storytelling, and even how the human mind evolved. Let's begin with fire, because fire changed everything. The oldest strong evidence of humans controlling fire comes from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, about 1 million years ago. But fire was much more than a source of heat. It completely changed human life. Before fire, our ancestors lived much like other primates. When the sun went down, activity stopped. People found shelter, climbed to safer places, and stayed still until morning. Moving around at night was dangerous. Humans don't see well in the dark. Predators do. Leopards, wolves, hyenas, and other hunters could move easily through the night while humans struggled to see even a few feet ahead. Then, fire entered the picture. A campfire created a protected area around a group. Predators usually stayed away from the flames. Inside the circle of light, people were safer. Outside it, the risks increased dramatically. Even today, studies of hunter-gatherer communities show that leaving the safety of the fire at night can be extremely dangerous. But protection was only part of the story. Fire gave humans something they had never really had before: extra time. Think about it. Without fire, useful daylight ended the moment the sun disappeared. Depending on the season, that could mean only 8 to 12 hours available for work and activity. Fire extended the day. Suddenly, people had extra hours every evening. They could stay awake, socialize, think, plan, and share ideas. And over thousands of generations, those extra hours may have helped shape human culture itself. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner published fascinating research after spending years studying the Jew/Huansi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the few groups whose lifestyle still resembles that of ancient humans. She noticed something interesting. During the day, most conversations focused on practical matters. People talked about hunting, gathering food, solving problems, sharing resources, and dealing with everyday concerns. But when night arrived, and people gathered around the fire, everything changed. The majority of conversations became stories. People shared myths, adventures, family histories, distant events, jokes, and explanations about how the world came to be. The fire became much more than a source of light. It became humanity's first classroom, its first theater, its first place of worship. Around the fire, people learned to imagine things beyond the present moment. They created shared beliefs and passed knowledge from one generation to the next. In many ways, this may have been where human culture truly flourished. But storytelling wasn't the only thing happening after dark. There was another nighttime habit that most modern people know nothing about, and it has to do with sleep. Today, most of us assume healthy sleep means one long, uninterrupted block through the night. But history suggests otherwise. In 2001, historian Roger E. Kirch published research that surprised experts around the world. After spending 16 years examining old diaries, court documents, medical books, letters, religious texts, and historical records, he found more than 500 references to something called first sleep and second sleep. Again and again, people described the same pattern. They went to bed shortly after sunset. They slept for about 4 hours. Then they woke up, naturally. They remained awake for 1 or 2 hours. After that, they returned to bed and slept until morning. This wasn't considered unusual. It wasn't insomnia. It was normal life. People expected it. During this period of wakefulness, they did many different things. Some prayed. Some reflected on dreams they had just experienced. Some wrote letters or read. Some visited neighbors. Others simply rested quietly and thought. One physician from the 16th century even suggested that married couples use this time for intimacy, because they would be more relaxed and rested. Many people believed these quiet hours were perfect for deep thinking and self-reflection. For centuries, historians saw references to first and second sleep but misunderstood them. Modern people were so used to sleeping in one block that they assumed older texts must mean something else. Yet the historical evidence kept pointing to the same conclusion. Then, science stepped in. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas were conducted an experiment at the National Institute of Mental Health. He removed artificial light from the lives of volunteers and exposed them to long nights similar to those experienced before modern lighting existed. At first, participants followed their usual habit, but after several weeks, something remarkable happened. Every participant naturally shifted into the same pattern: 4 hours of sleep, a period of quiet wakefulness, then another 4 hours of sleep. No one instructed them to do this. Their bodies simply returned to it on their own. It was as if an ancient biological rhythm had been waiting beneath modern life all along. Were also measured hormone levels during the nighttime waking period. The results were surprising. Participants entered a deeply calm state. Levels of prolactin, a hormone associated with relaxation and peaceful feeling, increased significantly. Many described the experience as almost meditative. They felt calm, reflective, and unusually peaceful. This wasn't simply being awake. It seemed to be a unique state of consciousness, one that most people today rarely experience. So, what changed? The answer is simple: artificial light. Beginning in the 1600s, cities started installing streetlights. Paris became one of the earliest examples, under King Louis XIV. London soon followed. Nights slowly became less frightening and more usable. Then came cheaper candles, then gas lamp. Then, in 1879, electric lighting entered everyday life. Within a relatively short period, humanity's relationship with darkness completely changed. Interestingly, the word curfew comes from the French phrase couvre-feu, meaning cover the fire. In medieval towns, bells signaled people to put out or cover their fires at night. Darkness was expected. Nighttime belonged to sleep. Being outside after dark was often viewed with suspicion. In some places, walking the streets without a lantern could even be illegal. The night was associated with danger, mystery, crime, and the unknown. Eventually, humans transformed it with artificial light. But that victory may have come with a cost. Today, many people remain exposed to bright light for hours after sunset. Screens, televisions, phones, and indoor lighting all send signals to the brain. Blue light is especially powerful. It suppresses melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate sleep. Your brain doesn't know whether light is coming from the sun or a screen. When your eyes see bright light late at night, your body receives a message that daytime is still continuing. As a result, natural sleep rhythms become delayed. Researchers have discovered that spending just 1 week camping without artificial light can dramatically reset the body's internal clock. Melatonin production begins earlier. Sleep patterns move closer to natural cycles. It takes surprisingly little time for ancient biological rhythms to reappear. In a way, modern society didn't just change when we sleep. It may have erased an entire nighttime experience. That peaceful period between first sleep and second sleep, the quiet state described by both historians and scientists, has almost disappeared. Instead, many people wake up during the night and immediately assume something is wrong. But perhaps not every midnight awakening is a problem. Perhaps it is a reminder, a faint echo from thousands of generations of human history. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors spent their evenings gathered around fires, sharing stories that connected communities and passed wisdom across generations. They slept in two parts. They experienced darkness most of us can barely imagine. The Milky Way wasn't a rare sight reached only by traveling far from cities. It was simply the night sky, and when they woke during those quiet hours between sleeps, they often sat with their thoughts, reflected on dreams, considered their future, and listened to the silence around them. Then, modern life arrived. We gained light at the touch of a button. But along the way, we may have left behind an entire way of experiencing the night without ever realizing it.